It's 1912 in Stockholm, Sweden. The Olympic Games are in full swing. Athletes are breaking records, crowds are roaring, and in a quiet gallery across town, a panel of judges is studying paintings, sculptures, architectural designs, musical compositions. This isn't some cultural side event. This is the Olympics. For 36 years, from 1912 to 1948, the Olympic Games awarded official medals for art. Gold, silver, and bronze, just like track and field. Painters competed alongside poets. Architects stood on podiums. Composers heard their work celebrated in the same breath as javelin throwers and marathon runners. And then, it all disappeared. This is the story of the Olympics you never knew existed. The vision of a baron. It starts with one man, Pierre de Coubertin, the French baron who revived the Olympic Games in 1896. But here's what most people don't know. Coubertin wasn't just interested in physical competition. He was obsessed with the ancient Greek ideal of balancing body and mind, the complete human being. To the ancient Greeks, the Olympics weren't just about athletics. They were about celebrating human excellence in all its forms. Poetry, music, art, philosophy. It was all part of the same grand festival. Coubertin wanted to bring that back. He believed that sport and art were inseparable, two sides of the same coin. The role of art in the Olympics, he wrote, is to bring them into closer harmony with the ideal which antiquity had of them. So in 1912, he made it happen. The Stockholm Games became the first to include art competitions. 5 categories: architecture, literature, music, painting, and sculpture. Every piece had to be inspired by sport, Olympic-themed, a celebration of athletic achievement through artistic expression. And the Baron? He practiced what he preached. He secretly entered the literature competition himself, under a pseudonym, of course. He submitted 2 pieces, Ode to Sport. He won gold, the golden age of Olympic art. Once the door was opened, artists flooded in. Between 1912 and 1948, over 5,000 artists from around the world competed for Olympic glory. They submitted paintings of wrestlers, sculptures of runners, poems about victory, symphonies inspired by competition. In 1928, Jean Jacobi from Luxembourg won gold for a painting called Rugby. He'd go on to win again in 1936, making him one of the few Olympic double gold medalists in art. Writers submitted epic poems, plays, and essays. In 1924, the winner of the literature gold medal was a Frenchman named Gio Charles for his Olympic trilogy of poems. Architects designed Olympic stadiums that would never be built. Composers created fanfares and anthems. One musician, a German named Werner Eck, won a bronze in 1936 for his Olympic ceremonial music, music that would actually be performed at future games. The variety was stunning. Some works were traditional, classical portraits of athletes, realistic sculptures of runners mid-stride. Others were abstract, modernist, pushing boundaries. The only rule, it had to relate to sport. But here's what made it special. These weren't just professional artists. Olympic athletes themselves competed in art categories. Some tried to win medals in both. A few came close. The art competitions added an entirely different dimension to the games. While athletes competed in stadiums, artists competed in galleries. Both groups were chasing the same dream: Olympic gold. The problem nobody saw coming. For nearly 4 decades, the Olympic art competitions thrived. They attracted talent. They got attention. They seemed to embody Coubertin's vision of the complete games. But there was a problem simmering beneath the surface, a problem that would eventually kill the entire program. The Olympics, at their core, were built on one sacred principle: amateurism. Athletes couldn't be professionals. They couldn't earn money from their sport. The games were for pure amateurs only, people who competed for love, not for profit. And that's where art became complicated. Unlike athletics, where you could theoretically keep your day job and train in your spare time, being a competitive artist almost required professionalism. Sculptors sold their work. Painters had galleries. Writers published for money. Musicians performed for audiences. How do you separate the amateur artist from the professional when art, by its nature, is meant to be shared and sold? By the 1940s, the Olympic Committee was facing a crisis of principle. The art competitors were, almost by definition, professionals. They made their living through their craft. Meanwhile, the athletic competitions were strictly policed for any hint of professionalism. It didn't make sense anymore. In 1948, London hosted what would be the last Olympic Games with art competitions. 193 works were submitted, winners were crowned, medals were awarded. And then the International Olympic Committee quietly shut it all down. They didn't eliminate art from the Olympics entirely. They just changed the rules. From 1952 onward, art would be part of the Olympic cultural program. Exhibitions, performances, demonstrations, but no more medals, no more competitions. The age of Olympic art champions was over. What we lost. Here's what's haunting about this story. Most of those 151 medals awarded between 1912 and 1948 are forgotten. The paintings, the sculptures, the poems, many have been lost. Some sit in dusty archives, others disappeared entirely. The names of winners? Almost unknown today. Try asking someone to name an Olympic art medal winner. You'll get blank stares. This is partly because the IOC doesn't even officially recognize these medals in the same way they count athletic achievements. They exist in a strange limbo, historical footnotes to a quirky experiment. But maybe we lost something bigger. Coubertin's vision was radical, that physical and artistic excellence should be celebrated equally, that the Olympics could honor all dimensions of human achievement, that a perfectly executed painting could be as worthy of gold as a perfectly executed vault. For 36 years, the Olympics said, art matters. Creativity is competition. The person who can capture the spirit of sport in words or images or sound deserves to stand on a podium. Then we decided, never mind, just run faster. The echo in today's games, the art competitions are gone, but their ghost lingers. Every Olympics still includes cultural programming, performances, exhibitions, concerts. The opening and closing ceremonies are artistic spectacles that rival the competitions themselves. Olympic logos, mascots, posters, all created by artists. We still recognize that the Olympics need art. We've just stopped pretending artists can compete the way athletes do. And maybe that's fair. Maybe the IOC made the right call in 1948. Maybe art and sport operate on fundamentally different principles, one subjective, one objective, one about interpretation, one about measurement. Or maybe we gave up on something beautiful, a moment in history when the Olympics tried to be more than just faster, higher, stronger, when they tried to be complete. The lesson for today. Here's what strikes me about the Olympic art competitions. They existed because someone believed in them. Pierre de Coubertin had a vision that seemed impractical, maybe even ridiculous. Art and sport, together, competing for the same medals? But he pushed for it, and for 36 years, it worked. Thousands of artists participated. Masterpieces were created. The Olympics were richer for it. The competitions ended not because they failed artistically, but because they didn't fit the rules. Sometimes the most interesting experiments in history die not from lack of value, but from lack of category. So next time you watch the Olympics, remember, there was a time when a poet could win gold, when a painter could be an Olympic champion, when the person who best captured the spirit of competition might never have set foot in a stadium. That world existed. We chose to leave it behind. But its legacy remains in every Olympic poster, every ceremony, every moment when sport transcends pure athletics and becomes something more. Something like art,